Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the future model of kitchen and bath businesses. We've got about 235 people signed up, so this could be a nice group, and we'll have some Q&A at the end. So as we go through this, please make sure you jot down any notes. I sent out a PowerPoint presentation ahead of time so that you could go ahead and print it up. So let's go ahead, and I've always been told I have a face for radio, so let's get this out of here and go to our PowerPoint presentation. Okay, here we go. So we're getting there. Technology is a wonderful thing. So, all right. Here we go. All right, meet the speaker. I'm Thad Wittenberg with Kitchen and Bath Global Partners. You can see a picture of me over there to the right. A lot of people say that I look like Elon Musk, but actually I think he looks a little bit like me. So yeah, I do not use my own picture up there, so I don't want to have to pay for anybody's therapy later on. So yeah, it's got a couple things I did. I am president of Kitchen and Bath Global Partners, and who really gives a rat's ass about that. A couple things that are listed on there too. It doesn't matter what we've done in the past. The only thing that matters now is what we're going to be doing today and in the future. And if you look at that list, the last one that's on there is industry disruptor, and that's what I really want to focus on. I hate complacency and status quo, and you're going to see a lot of reasons and why we don't want to go that route, because there's a lot of changes that are taking place in our industry. Why start KBGP? Well, I think the main reason is that we need to play differently moving forward, because the rules of the game have changed and they're going to continue to change. I'm very passionate about the kitchen and bath industry, and I just wanted to play a part in that and continue to hopefully help people as we go through a lot of these transitions and transformations in our businesses that are out there. Okay, we have a sponsor today, which is Wellborn Cabinetry. You probably already know this, but GoToMeetings aren't free, so they help sponsor these things. So we can provide free webinars out there. I think they're a great company. They're family owned. They're American made. And if you haven't tried Wellborn, I would encourage you to give them a shot. All right, moving right along. I used to start every training seminar with the definition of insanity. And if you ask anybody, the definition of insanity used to be doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, I've changed that mantra into the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting the same result. Because that really doesn't play well today, because there's so many changes and so many forces that are going on in the marketplace as far as technology, how consumers shop. So you obviously, well, what you did yesterday is not going to guarantee or ensure your success in the future. So we have to look ahead and figure out what we're going to do moving forward. Okay, I like this slide. If any of you guys have not read the book Reengineering Retail by Doug Stevens, it's an awesome book. It focuses a lot on where other industries are going, and in particular where our industry is going. It says if any retailers are out there still clinging to the hope that the internet will somehow overlook our category and keep it unscathed, they are basically delusional. And I think a lot of people think, okay, well, the internet's going to play a role in a small part of our business and our market in kitchen bath. But I think you're going to see as we go through these slides, they're going to have a huge impact on the way we do business moving forward. Consumers are changing their habits, their expectations. Amazon, they're at 44% market share on online sales. And the reason I bring them up is because they have changed our expectations in how we shop. We need something, we go online, we want it, in 2 days. It's point and click. It's so easy to do. It shows up on our doorstep. Sometimes it shows up the same day. I ordered a book a couple weeks back, Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and it said it was going to be there by 5 that same day. And I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. Absolutely not. And by 4:30, I was like, I told you it's not coming today. At a quarter of 5, that book showed up on my doorstep. And if you don't think that changed my expectations in other companies, it truly does. Uber is another example, and I have to admit I was a late adapter to that. I'd always use cabs whenever I was traveling, and everybody was telling me it was a great experience, but to me it was kind of like, you're standing outside of a crack house and you don't know what to expect when you go in there. And well, maybe I shouldn't have used that example, but I finally used Uber, and it was great. And you know what? I've never looked backwards. The drivers are awesome. The service, the apps. Just another example of how, again, we're continuing to change our buying habits and how we work within our society and our community. Where we go for food. I don't even go to grocery stores anymore. We go online and it's delivered the same day. We use Wegmans for that. Not that I don't like the shopping experience to go places, but it's a convenience factor, and it's great. So I think that's going to continue to happen. When it gets into customer service, I think every business is taking it up another notch. I don't know how many people are familiar with Zappos. Incredible customer service. If we had time, one of the things we do during some of our seminars is we call them up and we put them on hands-free and we ask them, hey, I'm traveling to San Francisco this weekend. Can you let me know what the weather is going to be like there? They don't even skip a beat. They're like, hold on 1 second, let me tell you. Oh yeah, it's going to be cloudy and 65 degrees today, and can I help you with anything else? And the funny thing about it is Zappos knows that you're testing their customer service. And I think they're really proud of that. But they don't say anything like, well, why are you calling me to ask me what the weather is going to be like? And they're like, hey, have a great trip. I mean, it's just amazing customer service. And every time we go through those type of experiences, it really raises the bar as far as our expectations are concerned. I remember going to a seminar one time and the lady told me, she said, this is going to date me. And she went to a hotel and she saw a remote to the television in there. She was like, oh my God, what's the world come to? I need a remote control. I'm just going to get up and change the channel if I need to. And obviously years later, she goes to a hotel room and she's like, if the remote's not there and they don't have one, I'm changing rooms, because who could survive in a hotel room without a remote? I think that is going to continue to change with everybody, again, as far as their expectations and their service levels. Online and hybrid businesses. If you look at Ferguson, which has kind of recognized that a lot of their products, plumbing supplies, are being shopped online. So they had to come up with the stock market, or whatever you want to call it, build.com. A lot of you probably shop on there. That is their fastest growing part of their business, and they're continuing to invest in that so that they can have a share of that online business that's out there. And they're obviously they play a big role in our industry. IKEA's doing it right now. Home Depot's doing it. I put a website out there because Lowe's has joined forces with Microsoft, and it's the Holo investment. I forget it. Holo Labs, that's what it is, in innovation. I encourage you to go out to this website and see some of the things that they're doing. It's pretty cool. They have the consumer standing there. They have the goggles on. They have the designer there. The consumer seeing what that virtual kitchen looks like out there. They are, changing the design as they go through there. I mean, this is a reality now, and we have to recognize that. So there's a lot of businesses that used to be the traditional just showroom sales are turning into hybrids. You guys have probably seen a lot of just online businesses, cabinet businesses that are in our industry. If you haven't been to these websites, it's Click Studios, Click Cabinets, cabinets.com. There's a Mike out of Winston-Salem I was talking to last week. He did a project for a customer, he quoted one. And apparently they decided to go with Click Studios. And they called him and said, hey, you know, we're going to buy the cabinet somewhere else. Can you come in and do the installation? And he would say, Dad, this is a kitchen in my own backyard. And we're already seeing online sales having an impact on us. He did the installation. I said, how did it go? He goes, unfortunately, it went well. And I asked him, I said, well, how old are these customers? And he said, you know what, they're our age, you know, like low to mid 50s. So it's not just, you know, the millennials that are out there that are looking to shop this way. So we have to recognize that. The kitchen and bath buying process, I wanted to kind of take a glimpse into the future of what that looks like. Forgive me if I have to look down. I don't remember every step as far as memorizing them. But the first one is the electric cart ideas. This is when customers go out to your website. They pull things from Pinterest or Houzz. They have a portal on your website. They can start, hey, I really like this granite. I really like this door style. I like this island. I like this hood. Start pulling all these ideas into the cart, and whether they're selling online or they're selling, you know, or in the showroom, they still go to this experience. I talked to a guy in the window business recently, and he told me that 65% of the process is being done online before they actually are engaged with the window dealer. So that tells you how much of this activity is being done online before they even come into your showroom. You know, I've looked at a lot of websites recently about how they scan and measure rooms, and that's going to be a wave of the future of how that happens. You know, and it's getting very accurate. So we used to send designers out there to be able to put a tape on it and measure it, or ask the customers to do it. And we're not going to see that anymore. Apple has a little thing, I think it's called, I can't remember the name. I'll send it out to you guys, but it's a little device that you put on your Apple iPad and you just scan the room. It costs about $3.99. It's something you may want to invest in for your designers. I think it's called Clothes, or anyway, I'll find the name of it. But and it gives you accurate dimensions of the whole room that's in there in 3D. And the things that you're going to be able to do is download those directly into your CAD system and start designing. So it's not taking these measurements and then having to obviously enter them yourself and start putting walls in there. So it's going to be extremely time saving. Obviously, online selections are going to be done like that. When we get to the quote and contract, that's going to be all done online. We're going to receive payment that way. I did want to talk a little bit about virtual and augmented reality. Right now, this year, I think they're forecasting it's about $17.9 billion is being invested in it. The revenues in online and virtual, augmented and virtual reality in 2016 was $5.2 billion. In 2020, revenues for those two areas, again, augmented and reality and virtual reality, are going to be $162 billion. With investments like that, you're going to see that whole experience really take it to another level, and people are going to be like, "Wow!" You can imagine if they're using that platform in other areas where they're shopping and how they see things. When they come to your showroom or they're online, they're going to have the same expectations. Like, why don't you have all these graphics captured so I can see my whole new kitchen like this? They're going to wonder why, because they're so used to it. Again, their expectations have changed. ordering is going to be done. It's all going to be a really seamless process, and a lot of it is going to be using technology moving forward. But that's good news for us too. I talk about third-party delivery. A lot of times that's being used today. People like CVS or North American Logistics, companies like that out there that do that last mile and carry in the cabinets. Outsourced installation. Everything is going to be a little bit, unfortunately, out of our control, and that we don't handle it in-house. But I think it's a more effective and efficient way to do business out there. Fastest growing. So I always ask people, so where do you think the fastest growing models in the kitchen and bath business are going to be? It used to be traditional, right? That used to be just the main model out there. And then you have hybrids, and they're doing both. And that was, kind of second. Then you had online. But that is flipped. That's completely reversed. The fastest growing percentage wise, I know you're saying, well, they start with a smaller amount, but that has really taken off. Some of those ones that I had mentioned earlier, they've got hundreds of designers that are on staff selling online. So it's becoming a huge businesses out there. And then you've got your hybrids that are selling out of the showroom and doing online. And then probably the slowest growing ones are going as a whole, not every individual one, is going to be the traditional kitchen and bath showroom. So it's really kind of reversing itself, and I think everybody needs to take a hard look at it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we can do to become a hybrid kitchen and bath, why it's important. First of all, you need to leverage your costs. You already have the overhead of the showroom. You already have your website out there. Why not add business online? It doesn't have to be a bulkier business, but let's say that you're selling 12 kitchens a year online. All that's going to do is raise your revenue and help bring down your expense cost. A business without borders, just like I mentioned that guy, Mike at the Kitchen Center down in Winston-Salem. People are selling in his backyard. Why not start selling in somebody else's backyard? We're going to see more and more of that out there. And with third-party logistics, you can do that. You can work with a customer online and then get in touch with them and have it delivered to Albuquerque or Naples, Florida, or wherever you want to sell that kitchen. And it's not that difficult. I know there's a big fear factor that's involved with that. But, there are ways that you can support that kind of strategy online to make that possible. And like I said, the competitors that you used to have, which you'd recognize, oh yeah, so-and-so down the street over there and over there, that's all changing. You're going to see a lot of people selling kitchens in your marketplace that don't currently live there. They're not geographically located in your spot, in your space there. So we just have to recognize that and get used to it. Barrier to entry has also declined. I talk about freelance designers or people that want to start their own business. It's $10,000 or less for them to get a website and be able to get door samples, and they don't have to have a warehouse. They don't have to have trucking. So we're going to, I think, see that segment, that model continue to grow, and those are going to be additional competitors that you have out there. Designers are continuing to migrate towards online businesses. I posted a blog earlier this week about where have all the designers gone, and it really focused on, they have a lot of different options that are out there right now that they typically didn't have in the past. So we're going to see that movement that's out there. And if you have you become a hybrid and you have online sales, maybe some of your designers that you have now will want to work with some retail, not all of it, but part of it, and they can grow their sales that way, which will help them grow their income, which would hopefully keep them around. So again, these are just ideas. Consumers obviously will want to do more online, and again, if you're not selling online, need to at least capture that activity before they come into your showroom. I think if you build like a hybrid model, it keeps you a lot more focused on the online experience for your customers. a lot of times when I'm talking to dealers, I'm like, are you getting any leads from online? They're like, yeah, I get like one or two a month, and they fill out the form, and and that's it. So we're not really getting a lot from it. And I think, well, maybe it's because of the experience that they're having online when they go out to your website. That might be something that you want to take a look at. And secure your future. I think if we don't change the risk today, everybody says, well, I don't like that. That's a whole different risk that I need to take that I'm not ready for. I think the bigger risk is that you don't change, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to risk the business then, because you're not growing with the times and adapting to what consumers are looking for. Look, it's a growing economy right now, and despite that, there's more retail businesses that are closing now than they did during the big recession of 2008. So that kind of tells you, what's going on as a big picture out there. I'm not talking about just kitchen and bath, but we are in the retail business, and it is going to continue to have an impact on us. We have to adapt to downward margins. I know a lot of folks are used to, okay, well, we have to have a 45 margin, or we have to have a 40 margin to survive. And I think that's going to change. There's going to be a lot of pressure on margins, downward pressure, because people are building a smaller expense model. And I think we all need to look at our expense model and say, look, if I'm going to be able to compete in the future, can I live on a 35 margin? Well, you can't if your expense model's at 35%. So we need to look at how can we get our expense model at 30% or less. So if our margin blend is at 35, at least we're making a 5% return on sales, which I think you should do. You work very, very hard in your business, and if you're not bringing 5% to the bottom line, there's probably an issue. And if you can get higher margins, let's say you are at a 38 and your expense model is running at a 30, well, now you have an 8%. But you need to have that flexibility in pricing, so it's not mandatory that your margins are that high up there. I'm not suggesting lower your prices. I'm just saying you're going to see more and more margin pressure moving forward, and we need to adjust to that. I listed out some things: third-party delivery. I know companies that are $2 million. They're spending $40,000 in third-party delivery. Okay, so that comes out to 2% of sales. When you do your own in-house delivery, you would have to spend at least $100,000 to $120,000 on your warehouse, your drivers, your trucks, to do that same chore out there, that same process. Excuse me, I'm looking for the word. But so that's going to cost you. You're really looking at 5 to 6%. That continues to add to your expense model that you have out there. So I think everybody needs to take a hard look at going third-party delivery if you're not already doing. I know you give up control, but someone like CDS, they're delivering 4 million cabinets a year. So yours isn't going to be the first kitchen that they're delivering. Subcontract labor. I know everybody likes to have their own on-staff guys, and I'm fine with that. I just think you need to make sure that you're making money at it. You can't provide labor for free or walk away with a 10 margin or a 15 margin. Margin on labor ought to be 25 to 30 points at least. So that might be something else that you want to look at. Outsourcing design, and designers don't like to do that because they want to control their designs, and I'm not suggesting that all their designs should go that way, but I do think, when you're telling a customer that you'll be back with them in 2 weeks plus, that's a problem. And if it's because you have a backlog of these designs out there, you need to send them out to somebody who can get them turned around in 3 days so we can get back to that customer. During that 2 weeks, they're going to be out shopping at other places, and you want to make sure that timeline is a lot smaller. So again, just another idea you may want to take a look at. Obviously, smaller showrooms. Here's some good news. So the rent model, to me, for your business should probably run about 2%. That's all in. That's your rent, and that's your utilities. So if you're a $2 million business, I'll use that as an example again. All of that should cost about $40,000. and then your investment in the showroom, maybe 1%. All right, so that's a total of 3. That'd be another 20,000. That's a lot. I don't suggest you have to spend that every year. So when you're looking at competing with people online, okay, your overhead of having a bricks and mortar may only be 3%. I think that you can leverage that expense that you have to continue to grow sales, because a lot of customers and consumers really want to still come into a location where they feel comfortable and they can touch and feel things. But do not, like Perch, I was going to talk about, we don't have a lot of time, go out to their website. It's PIRCH. They have these huge showrooms. They grew this massive expense model, and they were Wall Street's darling for a little while, and then that kind of collapsed. They had this great experience out there, but I'll bet their expense model when it came to rent and their showroom was probably 15%. So they had to jack their margins up to be able to cover that, and people weren't willing to pay for that. More virtual parts of your showroom, as far as being able to show customers with goggles or virtual reality that goes up on walls. When you have a smaller showroom, that still allows you to show a lot of different things. And then obviously growing online sales will help leverage your expense model. Technology, this is going to be a big one. That's why I made it a slide by itself. What that entails is, how are you going to use technology in the future to become more efficient and more effective with customers? Every time I go to visit dealers, I'm always asking, so what technology are you using right now? And it's like, well, we have spreadsheets. We fax orders in some cases. I look internally how their processes are built, and they're all manual, and that's so time consuming. And then there's a lot of mistakes that happen in that process too. So we're going to need to work together in how we can invest in technology to make sure our businesses are more productive and more efficient. It's the only way you can grow your gross margin per person, which is a key performance indicator in our industry. That way, you really want to do that, focus on that, because that's also going to allow you to compensate your people more. All of this is going to be wrapped around that whole technology equation. So let's get into some good news. In a recent Gallup poll, when they were looking at Americans, about 70% of Americans feel better about buying from small businesses compared to 21% feel confident of buying from big brand names that are out there. So I think that gives us, and when I say us, small businesses, about 90% of kitchen and bath businesses have about $1 to $3 million in revenue. So that's a good thing. You've already built the consumer's trust because of your size and that you have a location. Leah, let's get excited. I did want to talk about a lot of the advantages that these smaller kitchen and bath dealers like yourself have. As I just mentioned, consumer trust, a tighter process. If you only have 4 or 5 people, 6 people, you should be able to have a better control over the processes you have in servicing your customers. Because that's hard to do when you grow into a much bigger organization and you've got hundreds and hundreds of people and you're trying to get them trained on using the process, and you've got a lot of new people flowing into the system and out of the system. It creates a real issue when you're that large. So utilize the fact that you're smaller. You create a better culture because you have more control over it. It's not trying to get, like I said, 100 people to buy into your culture. It might be 5 or 6 or 7 that you have there. So you should take advantage of that and build on that. I do want to talk about our agility to adapt. When you're a smaller company, that's a big advantage that you have, is to be able to change quickly. I went to go visit a dealer, I think about 2 weeks ago down in Richmond. And we were talking about technology, and they said, hey, look, I gotta be honest with you. It takes us about a year to change anything within our company. And I was like, a year? Really? Like, as a smaller company, you should be able to like change from one thing to another, no matter what it is within a couple of months. And we can't accept the fact that in the past we were okay with it taking that long to change because we can't afford to do that. Things are only getting faster and faster out there these days. And man, we got to get on that treadmill and speed them up. Otherwise, things are just going to pass by us. And that's going to mean trouble for our business out there. Um, Also, the last one is creating better customer service. I mean, it's a much more intimate relationship when you're a smaller company that you have out there. You get to meet the people, that are your installers there, the other people that are in your showroom. And I think people feel much more closer to the smaller businesses that they're working with instead of just being a name to these larger entities that are out there that they're doing business with. So let's make sure that we're leveraging these assets. The last thing that I have here is become an industry disruptor. I want everybody to join the movement. Disrupting your business and changing is going to be extremely important moving forward. You can't sit on these ideas and say, okay, one day I'm going to get around to them. That one day may never come. So we need to get in there, come up with what we're going to do to change our business, to make it more competitive, to provide better service to our customers, to come up with an online strategy, whatever it is, and start implementing them like as soon as possible. So that you can, the market's great right now. I hope everybody's growing at double digits. You should be. And if not, we need to take a hard look at why. I got an email back from somebody yesterday, and they're like, oh, customers just want the cheapest product out there. We've got really experienced designers. We got a great showroom. I was like, okay, we can't change the force of way things are moving and how consumers are shopping. But when it comes down to price, there's usually a lack of an incredible customer experience. Something that's personalized, something that's memorable that they have out there. It's like that's where we need to be investing our time, because if they're not receiving that, it does come down to price. We got to make sure that we're providing that for customers, so they'll continue. Our biggest business is coming from the pipeline of referrals, and they need to be telling other people about this incredible aha moment when they went into your kitchen and bath business and all the things that you did to make it an incredible experience for them. That's where the difference comes down. People are willing to pay 20% more for that great experience. That's not me just making up. You look at the numbers that are posted online, that's a true fact that's out there. So instead of like, hey, all these people are causing customers to have these expectations, whether it's HGTV or whoever, no, we've got to react to that in a different way. So since you were joining us today, I want a lot of people to become disruptors. So the first 50 people who send me an email, I sent you an email this morning with a PowerPoint and claimed, hey, I'm a disruptor. I'm going to send you one of these T-shirts. Just let me know your size. Hopefully we'll get a picture of you in this shirt, and we're going to put it on our wall of shame, because that's where the disruptors belong. So go ahead and do it now. Like I said, I've only got 50 of them. Make sure you let me know your size, and we'll get them out. They're really nice T-shirts. And also wanted to let everybody know that we have a workshop coming up this summer. Is July 25th and 26th. It's going to be build your own kitchen and bath business for the future. What are the things it's going to take to not only survive and thrive in the future? Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I really want to get into the Q&A. You will be receiving a survey from us this morning. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I know we went through a lot of things, but maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into the Q&A. You can go ahead and raise your hand on the GoToMeeting, and I will make sure I click on you and your audio will become live. So let's go ahead and move forward to that. If anybody has questions or comments, now's the time. Just raise your hand on there, and I should be able to bring you into the webinar. Okay, I see some people out there. Ted Daniels, Todd Sabine. I know some of you guys have to have some questions. Anything. All you have to do is raise your hand. We're into Q&A. Anybody just want to say hi? Just okay, Ted Daniels, I see that. You were on. Thank you, Ted. All right, hold on. Okay, Ted, what's your question this morning? Oh, Ted. Hold on, Ted. Can you repeat that? Hello? Hey, Ted, do you have your microphone on? Okay, well, there are other people? Okay. Oh, change that, yeah. Okay, Brad Merritt. All right, Brad, let's go.
Can you hear me? Okay, hey, can you speak to a little bit the best way for a outside territory sales rep to gain traction in a market that I'm not currently in? It's about 3 to 5 hours away.
Okay, so does he live there, Brad?
Yeah, just move there.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, I would encourage him to go on LinkedIn if he's not already set up out there, and he could do a search by builders in that area. He can do a search by remodelers that are in that area to find a lot. I know they're out there, but that's a great way to connect. Cold calling is difficult to do. If you take the average builder, they have like 30 trades that they're dealing with out there. And then they've got 3 people from every trade calling them. So they're getting 100 calls trying to solicit their business. So you got to be a little creative. So I think LinkedIn's a good way. Make sure they're researching those builders. They should belong to the Home Builder Association. They should belong to NARI. They need to play an active role in those things and get out to job sites. Walk the jobs and hopefully find the builders out there or the remodelers. Does that help, Brad?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk sometime. I'll come up with some other silly ideas for you.
Okay, I need them because we've got one in place now and one going the other direction in October. So.
Okay. Yeah, make sure they have a leads list, and hopefully you have a CRM so you can track all their activity. Hey, Brad, one thing I did want to mention, make sure you talk about the strategy. If they're walking in there and they're saying, hey, I've got cabinets and we do countertops, whoopee-doo. Everybody has that stuff out there. What is going to be the difference and why they should buy from you compared to the guy down the street? I mean, they should be able to name off 3 solid things that they do differently. And if not, they're going to be like an also ran to those builders and to those remodelers.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Brad. All right, Chi, hold on here. Chi, your mic's open.
Okay, I have a question on does your company help if we're decided to go in this hybrid system? Do you have resources that'll help us set up an e-commerce site, like as far as like website? How is that done? Does someone just send in like a note, say I'm looking for a kitchen, or how does that work? Would they click? Because I know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chi.
Because I know a couple of the ones that you mentioned, like
Click cabinets, Click Studios.
Yeah, you can actually go out there and select each cabinet, and then there's some, and I don't know about how Click Studio works, where I guess it's like you send in the information and then they email back to you. Do you kind of communicate via email? Some of the other ones you actually click on and say, I need 2 B24s. I mean,
Yeah, it's a great question, Chi. There's 2 ways to do online business. And we're going to see growth in both of them. One of them is where you're selling projects online. Customers like, hey, they want to buy the whole kitchen. And the other one is going to be, like you said, off the shelf like inventory items, like, hey, I've stocked, one line that's back here, and people just want to pick what cabinets they are, and we're going to ship them to them. So we do work with a kitchen and bath, I think it's called Kitchen and Bath digital marketing website place that I can hook you up with. They're one of our partners. And what they do is help build that website, or if you already have it, how to set up and support your online strategy out there, because it is different from what the typical websites are. They've always just been information based. People go out there, they just read stuff. You need to have a website that's interactive, where they can go and they can, like, okay, well, here's my design, and I want to pick different cabinet door styles that are out there. So yeah, we do have resources to be able to help you do that. Did that answer your question? Go ahead.
Yeah. What is the average cost for like a website? Do you know, like a ballpark, or something?
It really depends what you're looking for, but I'm going to say it's probably about $1,500, $2,000. So it's not that expensive. I mean, if you really want to build it, into something special that's going to be online, it might be $3,000, it might be $3,500. Again, it's like a house. It depends on how big you build it, but it's not that expensive. It's, I think, a great investment. I've been out to a lot of the kitchen and bath dealers' websites, and I have to say they definitely need to be upgraded. People, I know a majority of your business comes from referral. And when they tell somebody else about your business, guess what? They're not going straight into your showroom. They're going directly to your website to check it out first. So does that answer it, Chief, for you?
Yes, it does.
All right, thank you. All right, we got Cherie. Cherie, are you there? Hello, Cherie.
Hi.
Hi, Cherie.
I was wondering what, again, the same thing as how to move into becoming more hybrid this business.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're going to do the workshop, whether you go there or there's other means of education that you can get. That's one of the things that we're really going to focus on, because it is a different business, because a lot of these customers that are getting online and they're going to your website and they want to interact almost like, it's a timely thing. You need to have people, like when someone's out there and they're like, I want to talk to somebody, that it comes up on your phones or on your laptop and it's like, hi, we're here, so that it's not just them leaving a message. I know that's going to happen during off hours. You need to be able to have all your door samples. You need to be able to build portals for your customers so that you can start collecting all this information on them, on their ideas, what they want, anything else that they have that they want to provide to you guys. So yeah, again, it's a different model, and we do work with a company that helps set up hybrid businesses.
So like a system?
I'm sorry, Cherie?
So you could be able to connect and chat with somebody? Is that what you're?
Yes. I mean, you need to be able to set that up. That's not always easy to do when you don't have a lot of people, but there's ways to get around that. I say that you don't have to have someone on there 24/7, because that's almost impossible to do. But there are ways that if customers out there and they're asking questions, that you can automatically engage with that customer. There's ways to set up auto responses that are out there, and keep them online, keep them on your website.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, by the way, while we still have people on there, you might want to go out to our website. I forgot to tell you, it's limited seating for this workshop, because it is a workshop. So go ahead and reserve your spot. Sorry. And thank you, Cherie. Okay, we got Mike on here. Damn. I missed Mike. Mike, hold on, Mike. I'm going to get you back. Okay. Mike, you're on now.
Ted?
Yes.
Oh, I am on now. Okay. Actually, you really already touched on it, going more into a hybrid, a hybrid setup. I like that idea, but how getting started and moving in that direction really was my question.
It's different, and I hopefully I answered it, but I think it's really important that people look at. I mean, when you look at Lowe's and you look at IKEA and you look at Home Depot and you look at Ferguson, they're all recognizing, you know what, that's how consumers are going to start shopping. I think we all know that. It's just how do we get there? And you know, we know each other. I certainly can help you in any way I possibly can, and how to get your website structured to support that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, great. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, we got Christy on the line. Oops, hold on. Christy, I'm trying to open your mic. I got to turn mic off. Hold on, I got it. Christy, hang in there.
I'm here.
Okay. Hey, Christy, good morning. Well, it's actually almost good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. I have a question. I've been in the industry for about 35 years now, working primarily with modular cabinets and as a dealership. But currently, for the last 5 years, I've been working for a manufacturer, small local manufacturer. There's a big difference in how to market yourself with that. But would you have any? How do we incorporate this virtual stuff in manufacturing, small local manufacturing, versus dealership? Does that make sense?
Okay, so can I ask you a question? Are you guys looking to? Is your customer going to be customer base going to be mainly dealers, or is it going to be end users like retail and builders and contractors?
Unfortunately, right now it's contractors. So when you speak of price, we're sending out the way that they have worked their model for 30 years is they send out bids and the contractor chooses the lowest bid or whatever, and then you either get the job or you bid the job and you lose it. We have very little initial interaction with the clients. So I'm guessing where we need to make sure that we have the best experience then is with the builder, not necessarily with the client.
Well, let's take a step back, because really the what you want to try to do is it's both. You want to make sure that the builder has a good experience, but someone has to sit down with that client and make selections and go through that with them. And if you can offer your builder customers and say, hey, we have this great online experience where we can deal with them, or in person, or however that is. So again, that's a role that somebody has to play, and the builder's not always great at that. They don't, understand all the door styles and what's available out there, what the trends are, design aspects of that kitchen. So that's really, I guess, how I would approach it.
Yeah.
You again, you've got to differentiate yourself from other manufacturers and say, because at the end of the day, when you're talking about builders and you're talking about remodelers, they're kind of in the same industry as us. By that, I mean, most of their business is driven by referrals, and their customers have to have a great experience. So whoever they're working with is going to be an extension of their brand. And that's how you need to go in and really sell to them. Look, we're going to make your customers so happy with what we do with them that they are going to be like, oh, I'm so glad you're partnered with them. And they're going to tell other people. You play a vital role in that whole experience.
Yeah, that happens really well in our organization at the front end of the sale with the design aspect of it. Where we really fall apart is on the back end of the sale, where the builder is always behind. He's always trying to get us to rush through and finish, and it always seems to end up that the cabinet manufacturer, in our case us, is the ones that are lagging behind and getting the phone calls. But it's not that. It's that we tried to get you to make decisions, we tried to get answers, we tried to do this, but it failed for whatever reason, and now the back end of the sale looks like it's fallen apart.
Right. Well, one of the things I try to encourage people to do when they're working with consumers, and I understand this is not a unique problem, it happens across our industry, is to make sure that the customer understands the time frame. I mean, I know we tell them, but there should be constant reminders to them to kind of push them to say, look, we need to decide the door style, or we need to decide the countertop edge by this date. Otherwise, we're going to have delays in your project. And I think that's one thing to sell to your builders and remodelers too, that you stay on top of these things so that the consumer isn't like lagging, weeks and weeks behind where they should be in making these decisions, which the builders and remodelers don't want those delays on their projects either.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for tuning in today, Christy. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Anybody just raise your hand and I'll be sure to get to you. We still have about 78 people online. I want to thank you for joining us. Hey, anybody feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions and you didn't want to get in front of the webinar crowd. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And again, I wanted to thank you for joining us today. So just give it another minute to see if anybody else has questions. Raise your hand if you do. I see some folks, I don't want to call on you. I see some folks that are still out there. Brad's still online. Okay. Heather Johnson from Pennsylvania. Do you have any questions, Heather? We still need to connect at some point. You can raise your hand, Heather. All right. Okay, I think we're going to call it a day. Mark Mosier's online. I know Mark's got questions. He always has questions. All right. Well, thanks again for your time this morning. Oh, here we go, Heather. All right. Heather, are you there?
Hi,
Hi, Heather.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm driving down the turnpike, so I apologize. This is a little difficult.
I know, no worries.
You know, I have a million questions.
Well, shoot, that's what I'm here for.
I guess the most important question that comes to my mind right now is basically what can we do to provide the proper resources and tools for our dealers to take their business to that level? What can we do to support them?
Well, you work, one of the lines you carry is Wellborn, right? So, yeah, one of the things that I really am encouraging manufacturers is because what I said earlier is the differentiation of manufacturers when you're calling on dealers. I know everybody has a lot of great products, and I don't want to take anything away from that and the innovation, but there's a lot of white painted portrait doors that are out there that I think are going to blow the skirts up of dealers. I think you've got to have other things that are going to see. The whole thing comes down to, Heather, is how do you help your dealers grow market penetration? How do they take market share? And I think we need to, as reps, really take a step back and say our roles have changed. We're not just walking in somewhere and showing the door styles or showing pricing, or that traditional role has gone out the window. We need to be able to go in there and strategize, like, what's our online strategy that dealer has? How can the manufacturer support that? How are we going to get more leads in here? How can we convert those leads into sales? Process mapping their customer experience. I talk to a lot of manufacturers about, have you ever done that with a dealer? They need to understand every touch point that they have with that consumer that they're working with. And how many of those are different from the guy down the street? How many of those are going to create an experience where a customer comes away and says, holy smokes, I didn't even expect that. Like packing boxes. How many of these dealers are sending out cardboard packing boxes to their customers so they can pack up their kitchen remodeling? I talked to Brand about
that. As a manufacturer, why aren't you providing your dealers with that so that they could use that as a touch point with their customers? Did that answer that question for you, Heather?
Absolutely. You know, like I said, I have a million more, so we'll connect one of these days.
Okay, I look forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Heather. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, any other questions? I don't see any more hands up. I see Brad's still on. Brad, again, when these people are calling on new customers out there, hopefully they've got some differences of what you provide. I know you provide great service, and how they can articulate that to these potential customers that they have. Okay. We got time for one more hand if anybody has one out there. I don't see any at the moment. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for your time. I think hopefully we've covered a lot of it. Again, if you get a chance, if you're interested in coming to our workshop, we're going to help people create hybrids. We're going to focus on process mapping the customer experience, not only in the showroom, but also online, and then also how to build the right expense model. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll hopefully catch up with you next month at our next webinar. Is that it? Are we off?